Hey guys, welcome back here to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Joelle and I am a full-time reseller on several platforms, but Poshmark is my main one. And speaking of Poshmark, today I am going to discuss what is selling best for me in 2023 on the platform. I did record a fairly similar video back in August 2022. That video is linked below because a lot of the stuff discussed in that video is also still selling really well for me. But this time we're going to talk about what has been selling best, as I said, in 2023 alone. So looking at my Poshmark statistics, I noticed 4 main brands that have been performing really well for me. And I will talk about my other platforms. If you don't know, I sell on eBay, Mercari, and whatnot. Couple others, but those are my other main ones. Poshmark is by far my best performing one, but I will also discuss sales from those other platforms too, if they did apply to these 4 Poshmark brands that I will be talking about. And for each brand, I will carefully break down my average sales price, my average profit per item, what I think are the pros and cons of the brand, and finally I will share what I've been selling, what I avoid at the thrift stores, and what I do look out for when I am sourcing these particular brands. And if you see me looking over here, I have a ton of notes on this video for these 4 brands. I have numbers in here and a lot of details about each one. So I will be looking over here so I can give you guys the best video possible with plenty of details. But I'm really excited to share this video with you all. So we're going to get into my best performing brand of 2023. And just like 2022, that brand is Lululemon. So first I will talk about the pros and cons of selling Lululemon because I know that it does have a lot of critics. First up, my pro is that it is the top performing brand on most platforms. A lot of platforms will come out with consumer trends and brands reports. Lululemon is almost always in that top 10, so it does have a very wide customer base. I also have here that Lulu Fanatics helps you find details. It is a really detailed website that will basically share any type of Lululemon item with you. The website will display the exact photos and product details that Lululemon shares. So what I do is I will just screenshot those photos and I will copy and paste the description when I do find a Lululemon piece. And so that makes my Poshmark listing very searchable for someone that is looking online for Lululemon. I also put here that it has a wide customer base, which I already touched on. And then finally, I have that consignment stores love it. So my main consignment stores are Plato's Closet and Style Encore that I sell to. They have never rejected a Lululemon piece, but for the most part, I will list it on Poshmark and my other platforms because I know that I can get a decent amount for them. Now we are going to talk about the cons of Lululemon. So I did put here that it's not as resellable in terms of average sales price because Lululemon Like New has basically emerged as a huge website for Lululemon followers. If you don't know, Lululemon Like New is the brand's official website for secondhand resale items. You can take your Lululemon clothes straight into a store, and I want to say they give you store credit rather than giving you cash, and so you can turn around and buy this brand new Lululemon stuff. The biggest thing I want to say though is that a lot of pieces simply won't resell as well on Poshmark and other secondhand platforms because on this Like New website, they're probably going to list things for around 20, maybe 30% off retail. I'm not an expert on the website, but I know I haven't seen a lot of outrageous prices where you're going to be selling stuff super low. And so for me, when I list leggings, I used to list them for around that $70, maybe $75 range. Now I'm going to list them for around $50 to $60. The other con is that Lululemon can be really difficult to find cheap at thrift stores. Pretty much every thrift store you go to, especially somewhere big like Goodwill or Salvation Army, knows the brand. They know where to find the logos. Of course, you can still strike gold at places. You can go to the bins and maybe you can find it there. But overall, I know my local thrift stores tend to price it up. Not too expensive, but I have paid up to around $15 for a pair of leggings. So those are the pros and cons of Lululemon. Obviously, I believe that the pros outweigh the cons because this is my best-selling brand and it has been for the past 2 years. But now we're going to talk about average sales price. I'm very happy with this average sales price. I did only have 7 items on Poshmark, so this is all Poshmark. I've not sold Lululemon on any other platforms. Usually they sell before I manage to get them cross-listed. So my average sales price for the brand is $39.15. And I will say I'm really happy with that because that does include some accessories that I've sold, which I will be sharing screenshots with you guys of all of my sold items while I am talking about the brand. But The accessories that I have sold have been 3 new with tags beanies. I can't remember how much they retailed for, but I know I did sell them for $30 and under. So I did manage to sell some leggings, Align tanks, and then some, I think, Wonder Under leggings. And a lot of these sold items are things that I paid up for at Lululemon outlets. So they were new with tags, but I did spend up to around $10 to $20 per item. So I had to put a lot of faith in myself researching these sold comps. So that leads us to our average profit per item, which is $19.89. Now again, I paid up for a lot of these items, so I am very happy with that average profit per item because I know that even though I did pay up a little bit, I could rest assured that they were going to sell for a pretty decent profit. Now, for what I've been selling, I have been selling beanies, Wonder Under leggings, scuba hoodies, and Aligns. The scuba hoodie was my highest price sale. I think that sold for around $65, maybe $75. I don't remember, but you all will see. And then in terms of what else I look for, I have all of the above. Those are all items that I would 100% source again, whether they're at the thrift store or if I have to pay $10 to $20 again for them. I also have full length and 7/8 leggings, any type of outerwear, belt bags. Then I also look for shoes, any type of men's items, and the Swiftly tech line. Now, Lululemon is not perfect, and again, it has a lot of critics, so in terms of what I will avoid selling, unless I can get something for free or for pennies on the dollar, I avoid cropped leggings, older styles, and paying too much for something like a tank top. So that is what I have for Lululemon. Before we get into the next brand, I'm gonna just recap. My average sales price for 7 items that I've sold on Poshmark is $39.15. And then my average profit per item averaged out to $19.89 for my top performing brand, Lululemon. Next up, we have another activewear brand and yet another brand that has consistently sold for me for the past couple of years. And that brand is Athleta. Like Lululemon, Athleta does have critics, and I understand, but I do encourage you all that when you do see it in thrift stores, make sure to do your research because not all Athleta is going to sell super well or super quick, but when you do find the right pieces, it is going to be such a good brand to sell. So first, for the pros, I have the care tag makes it easy to find details. If you don't know, on Athleta's care tag, it is going to be right underneath that material tag. You can find the date that it was made, and you can also find the style number. If something is older, I will almost always not pick it up unless it is a really cool Y2K style. For example, I did find these cargo pants. They are a low rise and they are very trendy for 2023. I did pick these up even though they were a bit of an older style. So you really do have to determine what the specific style is and if you think it is worth selling. And then I'll also look at the style number. That's going to be the second thing that I do. I will say it doesn't always work for me, but I do just type in Google Athleta and then I will insert the style number. If it is a newer style, the Athleta listing will show up and I can just find all the product details and the photos there. But almost always when I type in a style number, other secondhand listings will show up. And so I can look at those listings and maybe get some ideas for things that I can add to my own listing. Now, for the cons, I have a lot of styles out there simply don't sell, so it can take some time to get used to the brand. So I know that when I first started reselling, I would pick up almost anything that I saw that was Athleta. Nowadays, I am much more careful, and I think that is the reason why it is my best performing brand, because I do carefully select the things that I source. So my average sales price is very good for this brand, and I was actually shocked to see I have sold 6 Athleta items this year. I should also say that that does not include whatnot listings unless they did sell in my buy it now section. So I will source a lot of Athleta, maybe tank tops and shorts. I will get those for $1 or less at some of my thrift stores. I will just put those up on whatnot for $5. Like I said with Lululemon, it is just a great way to drive in new people to my shows. So I don't include that there because if I did list those on other platforms, they would sell for much more. So I have 6 notable Athleta items that I sold, 4 on Poshmark, 1 on eBay, and 1 on Whatnot. And that brought my average sales price to $39.34. And then for average profit per item from those 6 sales, I have a profit of $22.17. In terms of what I have been selling this year, I have leggings, specifically the Elation line, any type of flare legging, and 7/8 length. And then I also had an eBay sale of a tank top. So I've been trying to build up my eBay. I will say I'm finally getting semi-frequent sales. By semi-frequent, I mean maybe one a week. I'm very content with that because I'm trying to just build up my feedback right now. So I was very happy with an Athleta tank top sale on there. That one sold for $15 plus shipping. And then in terms of what else I look for, a lot of this stuff is stuff that I sold back in 2022. And then others is just things that I know sell really well. So I have the Altitude Tight, the Cabo linen line, and I cannot stress this enough. Please go out and source that line. I wouldn't pay too much up for those. I think the most I've paid for a new with tags Cabo linen piece was $12. But for pre-owned, I'd probably spend up to about $10 a piece, but I have sold both the Cabo linen jogger and the wide leg pant. They have all sold very quick and for a very good profit. I also look out for black pants and leggings, business casual pants, the Brooklyn pant, and outerwear. Of course, there are things that I avoid, even though it is one of my better selling brands. There are still things that I will leave behind at the thrift stores. So I have older styles and a little reminder to look at that care tag. Now, of course, there has to be things that I avoid. Even though this is probably my favorite brand to sell, there are still a lot of things I will leave behind when I'm outsourcing. So I have older styles, and this is your reminder to look at that tag and make sure you can determine how old the piece is. But I did put that these do sell on Whatnot and consignment if you can find it cheap enough. So for me, I will not spend more than $2 for an Athleta tank top, but I have had a lot of experience selling it both on Whatnot and at consignment stores. I have cropped leggings and any type of excessive pattern when it comes to sourcing leggings. So I kind of look at Athleta and Lululemon the same in terms of what I look for and what I try to avoid. But not only are these two brands my best performing ones on Poshmark, they are also my two very favorite brands to sell. All right, now we're on to my third best performing brand on Poshmark, and I will say it is slowly but surely becoming one of my favorite brands to sell. And it's something that did not sell very well for me when I first started out selling, but honestly, I think that I was sourcing the wrong items. Now it is one of my favorite and best performing brands, and that brand is Lulus. For the pros of this brand, the first one that I have is that it is easy to find details on the brand. I have found a lot of luck with simply taking a picture of the Lulus item that I sourced. It almost always shows up on Google Lens, and it is always the Lulus listing. And then when I click on it, it has all of the product details. So I don't know why it is so easy for me. I hope it is the same for you all, but I have a lot of luck finding this brand specifically on Google Lens, and I never have trouble finding the listings, even if they are sold out on Lulu's website. That leads me to the next pro, which is that you can save stock photos straight from the website. So you don't have to take a screenshot and then crop the image so that you can list it on Poshmark. Instead, you can simply push down on the photo. This is for iPhone. I don't know if it is the same for other phones, but you just push down and then you save the photo. So this is not the case for a lot of other online retailers. So I am very grateful that you can simply save the photo with ease on the Lulu's website. The next pro is that it is a very popular online retailer with a wide customer base. Almost every single item that I have sold has hundreds, maybe even thousands of reviews. And Lulus just seems to be the go-to bread and butter brand for any type of formal event, whether it is prom, a wedding, whether it is a bridesmaid's dress, a wedding guest dress, or even a wedding dress, or again, any type of formal event. So I know when I was in high school, I always looked for my homecoming and prom dresses on there. Clearly, it still applies today. But with pros always comes cons. So for my cons, I have that it can often be overpriced at thrift stores. I know that my local thrift stores, the dresses are always the most expensive items, especially the longer maxi dresses and gowns. So I do see a lot of Lulus way overpriced at these stores. And then I also have that lots of items don't resell well. I will get into that when I talk about things I avoid at the thrift stores. But now we're going to talk about my average sales price. This one, I was shocked. I did not think it would be this high, but when I looked back at my sales, I realized that I have been selling a lot of maxi dresses and bridesmaids dresses, so that's probably why it is really high. But I have sold 4 dresses, 1 on Mercari and 3 on Poshmark, and then I actually forgot to include it in here, so it will kind of skew the numbers, but I did also have a sale on Whatnot where I probably profited $3 from it. It was just something that someone was looking for, a specific dress, and so I wanted to give them a deal. But that will only affect these numbers by maybe a couple of bucks. But my average sales price for these 4 sales is $38.75. And that brought my average profit per item to $23.07. Now, for Lulus, in terms of what I've been selling, I have sold formal dresses, all 4 of them. So 3 of them were floor length, and then 1 was this really pretty embellished mini dress. In terms of what else I look for, more formal dresses. That is what Lulus is most famous for, so of course I will continue sourcing those pieces. I will occasionally look at shoes, but in terms of cost of goods, I probably wouldn't pay more than $5 a pair if it is in really good condition. And in terms of mini dresses, I typically will not pay more than $3 to $4 per item, maybe $1 or $2 more if it's new with tags, but I am picky with the mini dresses that I pick up. I'll share screenshots of certain dresses that I have sold in the past, but I typically like to stick to more formal dresses. So if they are mini dresses, I want to stick to dresses similar to that white embellished one that I sold from the past couple of months. In terms of what I avoid any of their casual clothes. So that could include sweaters, blouses, skirts. Maybe if I can find it super cheap, I will put it on Whatnot, but overall, I like to put my Lulus items on Poshmark and my other platforms. And in terms of cost of goods, I have been paying a little bit more for my Lulus floor length maxi dresses. My most recent batch that I got were all new with tags from my top secret sourcing location. Those cost $11.99 a piece. So that was something that I was a little apprehensive about, but I figured that we are in primetime wedding season. And I can tell you that for the dresses that haven't sold yet, they are getting a lot of engagement on all of my platforms. So my biggest piece of advice for sourcing and selling this brand is to try your very best to find that Lulus listing so you can find the actual product details. That is going to make your listing very searchable and SEO heavy. And I will also say that Lulus does have their style numbers on that care tag like Athleta does. So that does make it a lot simpler to find those listings as well. All right, we're on to the 4th and final best performing brand on Poshmark and other platforms for me. This brand is something that is very reliable for me, not only the main brand, but also all of the sub brands that come with it. And this brand is Anthropology. I'm just gonna get right into the pros and cons because I know that this is another one of those brands that has a lot of critics. So for my pros, I have that there are a wide variety of brands. I know that when I'm in the thrift store and I see an unfamiliar brand, it seems like a lot of those times that brand ends up being some sort of Anthropology brand. So I'll give you a little piece of advice. On Anthropology, you can see their entire list of partnerships. They have it filtered by each letter, and I can tell you there are probably hundreds of brands on that list. So if you're ever unfamiliar with the brand, make sure to look it up because there is a chance that it could be an Anthropology brand, which can definitely raise the value. Another pro is that because of all of these brands that Anthropology does partner with, it has a very wide customer base. They also keep up with the trends. So I look at Anthropology the same way that I look at Farm Rio, Free People, really all of those trendy kind of boho brands. I think that that is something that never goes out of style, and because of that, some of this stuff ends up trending every single year. I also put for my final pro that newer styles sell really well. So I haven't been able to source as much new with tags Anthropology as I did last year, but I'll also share those screenshots because last year around the summer and fall, I came across a lot of new with tags pieces from the brand and some of their sub brands, and all of those pieces sold very quick and for a very high profit. So I am always looking for those modern Anthropology pieces. Now, of course, there are cons. The first one, not really Anthropology's fault, but I still think it is a con in the reseller business. I put that so many people misbrand Anthropology. I have 3 specific brands that I am talking about, and I might let this affect me a little too much, but I personally hate looking for Anthropology on Poshmark and finding all of these brands that I know for a fact do not partner with them. So I put here that Caution to the Wind, Paper Crane, and Moon and Madison are not Anthropology brands. If you have those in your Poshmark listings or other platforms, please take them out because it really does skew a lot of searches for people. I also think it can be very deceiving for buyers on Poshmark. So make sure that you do look up those brands because it can really help your listing to have more accurate information And if you don't know that something is Anthropology, it can help boost engagement significantly on your listing if you do add Anthropology to it. So that was my first con. The next one is that lots of older styles simply won't sell. So kind of similar to Athleta, a lot of these older styles really just don't resell well. So I put here, don't get tempted to pick it up simply because it is sold at Anthropology. That is something that I did a lot when I first started reselling. I would Google Lens or just search the brand on Google, and I would get so excited to see all of these listings talking about Anthropology. And I figured I don't even need to look up comps because it's obviously expensive. That was a mistake. I can tell you that not all their partnered brands are the same. In terms of their really popular ones, I think of Maeve and then Pilcrow, or Pilcrow and the letterpress. I can tell you that a lot of those older styles are not going to sell well, but their newer ones are definitely worth the research. My average sales price for Anthropology and all of the sub brands, I just included them all in one. It is $30.52. And of course, I forgot to put my average profit per item. I thought I could get through this entire video with all of my notes here and not forgetting anything, but we're right near the end of the video and I forgot to put that. So I will make sure to put it up on the screen. Hopefully it's not too different from my average sales price, but I can tell you that I have sold Anthropology and their sub brands on Poshmark. I think maybe Mercari. I'm not sure if I have this year, but I know I did this past year. I sold it on eBay, and I also sold a dress on Whatnot for $31. So that's a huge win. I don't know how many of you sell on Whatnot that are watching this video, but it's very difficult, especially as a small seller, to sell something that expensive. Now, in terms of what I have been selling blouses, shorts, pants, and then a lot of colorful and vibrant items. Again, I'm going to talk about like Farm Rio and Free People. Those are the pieces that I think of. With Farm Rio, you have these super eclectic and vibrant dresses. If I see something Anthropology that looks like that, I'm going to pick it up. Also, I know that Farm Rio and Anthropology do collabs. I forgot to mention that earlier, but that is a clear BOLO. If you ever see that collab, make sure to pick it up. But those are the things that I have been selling. In terms of what I look for when I'm outsourcing, I will always look for newer styles, any type of eclectic patterns. Again, I will look for boho pieces with a lot of texture to it, and shoes. Shoes are something that I don't see a lot at the thrift store for this brand, but when I do run comps on them, they're always very promising. Of course, for all brands, but I feel like especially for Anthropology and their sub brands, because there are so many sub brands out there, and it is something that is really saturated on Poshmark and other platforms. So definitely make sure to always do your research. For me, Anthropology has been one of my best selling brands for the past couple of years. I still do research on every single piece that I find at the thrift store. Even if it is just a simple Google Lens and running sold comps, it is worth it for every piece that you source. All right, we have now gone over my 4 best-selling brands on Poshmark and other platforms for 2023. As I'm recording this, we're in mid-May, so we have gone 5.5 months into the year. We're almost halfway there, and I am very happy with these 4 brands and the profits that they have brought me. They are very consistent brands for me as a reseller, and if you are a critic of any of these brands, I really do want to hear your opinions in the comments. And if you are considering selling them, I would highly encourage you to always do your research and make sure you find what sells best for you. So if you did find any value in this video and you want to see more reseller content like this, definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn your notifications on so you don't miss a video. I upload videos every single Thursday, and every other week I do have a What Sold video, so you all can keep up with what is currently selling for me on Poshmark and my other platforms. But that is all I have for you guys today. So now that we are at the end of this video, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you for the next video.